Go get something to drink real quick.
All right. Close all these down as much as I can. I'm here with San Angelo's. Let's see, I'm here with KL. How do you say this?
KLST. I'm the weekend sports anchor and a sports reporter over there.
I'm here with the newest sports reporter for San Angelo's KLST on Channel 5. Sports reporter and the weekend anchor, Ryan Reynolds. And I guess I don't know how much you want to say it, a former or a fellow alum for sure of Sam Houston State University.
Mm-hmm.
We both have that in common as well. Ryan Reynolds, thank you for joining me. Ryan?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's a pleasure to be on here.
And I know I'd like to bring on people who talk about film and acting and but film is, I know it's only the one part. The stories that come that these movies are made into, they come from some other source, whether a specific person or many specific people in general who have something have happened, some kind of event that happened, and there's some kind of, it's based on some, I always like to say when I watch a movie, even though it may not say it's based on, I like to say it's based on true events in a way.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it may not be a lot of it true, but it's always based on either the director or the creator of the story. You can usually find, what I always heard in school, you can always usually find that creator in one of the characters.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, especially with these films, I think I give a lot of the credit to the research departments as well, because when you go ahead and you piece the plot line to these movies based on these actual true events, you got to tip your hat to the research teams that they go on, they do their research, they go to these primary sources, these primary outlets like the news, newspapers, and they get these real facts and they piece them together when forming the plot of the movie.
Yeah, research. You can tell the good ones, like when they're researched that well. And that's what I'm mainly talking about too. Like, specifically when I
think of the first movie that comes to my head when I think of a solid story based on true events, most recently, the first one that comes to my mind, The Post. The Post was a really great one.
I've never seen that, but I'll be looking up that one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Who was in that?
Oh man, let me go ahead and give a look. There's a couple big names. Um, let's see. Came out in 2017. The Post. Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Sarah Paulson.
Oh,
yeah. Let's see.
I'm definitely gonna look that up.
Yeah, the Post, Washington Post. It's about the whole cover up.
All right, before we there was a nice little entry here, but I like to start off asking everyone that comes on, and it just starts getting the energy at a high level on these shows. What are you excited about today?
What am I most excited about today? Actually, I just finished up grocery shopping because I'm hosting a Madden tournament actually at my place. Uh, I think we have what 10 people coming over, making some queso. Gonna play some Madden, get really competitive, and try and take home a championship, man.
So any
Good bragging rights.
Bracket making a bracket too? Is that part of this festivity?
Yep. I'm gonna have this big paper on the wall. We're gonna make a nice bracket with some markers, and probably the seating will probably be determined. Just to put some numbers in a hat and pick them out. That's probably how we'll determine the seeds. Yeah, I'm super excited because there's been some trash talk lately. There's been some trash talk lately around the newsroom, so we'll see who can hold up to that.
And speaking of newsroom, you mentioned a second ago about something you're or hosting a show.
Oh yeah. I have my own 30-minute show called Season Pass after the 10 o'clock news on Sundays. So it's literally right after the Sunday news. So after I finish up that show, I, walk across the newsroom, walk across the set, and start preparing for that.
Taking you back a little bit, I don't know when, but when? Why I'm asking? When was your passion for media, news, sports, combination of all three of those? When was that realized, your passion?
Oh man, well, I got into sports when I was really little. I played 11 years of football myself. I was a quarterback, receiver, linebacker, defensive back, just pretty much everywhere. So 11 years I played football. Didn't really play any other organized sport except football, and then you shoot the occasional basketball outside in front of the house. But freshman year of high school is kind of the time period that comes to my mind when I think about realization and passions, because freshman year I broke my arm in practice. It was this crazy play. The whistle blew. I thought the play was dead. The guy jumped on my back, kind of grabbed my neck, and kind of pulled me down. Instinctively, I used my arm to kind of catch myself, and it just snapped. And I actually have I don't know if you can see it, but there's some pin marks there from the surgery. So after that, I kind of thought to myself, and I was like, you're risking yourself. Do you have a future in this anyways? And the answer that I came to was no. You're not going to go D1. You don't have the physical ability. You're 6 foot. Not even at that time. I was what 5'10", 5'9" at the time. Really, really skinny too. I wouldn't even say I was 150 pounds. Still growing, but that's when I realized, hey, like, you don't have to be on the field playing the sport to necessarily enjoy it. I was in a journalism class my freshman year, and that's when it really started clicking to me like, hey, I can still be a part of the sport without actually like playing it. What's closer than actually being on the football field? Being on the sidelines reporting it. And that's just kind of what stuck with me. I took that first class freshman year of high school, was Journalism 1, jumped on the newspaper staff from there on out, came to Sam Houston State because of the mass comm department. I worked with that campus paper for, was it three and a half years? Three and a half? I think it was 3.5 years. Worked there as a sports reporter, sports editor, editor-in-chief, and then did some work with athletics in the Bearcat Sports Network on the side. Hosted a podcast over there called Chasing the Cup. I think it's still going on. It's hosted by Gabriel Myers now, I think. And did a show over there called the Bearcat Minute as well. And hey, that's just kind of out where I am today, you know. All of that.
Just a curious thing. I know when I was on my way out, there was a show called the Bearcat Sports Report. Maybe a year or two after I actually left, but I kept seeing that too. Did you do anything with that as well on campus?
No. I don't think. Are you talking Bearcat Sports Report? Was that a Channel 7 thing?
It might have been. I think Barfield took that over, and they're shooting in the building, but I think he was over that.
Okay. Well, I know they have a sports show right now that they do on Channel 7. I don't know how long it is. Might be between 15 and 30, I know. It's called Behind the Bench, but that's completely like student ran, student produced. I think it's for the TV news, might be for the TV news producing class that oversees that.
That story is really similar to like how I like found my interest as well. Like acting, I took some acting in high school, college. I was a shy kid in school, and I'm taking acting, and I'm loving it. But there's something still like I haven't been pursuing acting or anything, but it made me think along the same lines. Not being in front of the camera, but being behind the camera can be just as great.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm a shy guy, and being in this industry has really, I guess, took me out of my shell. If you get what I mean. You know, you can ask my parents. I would have my brother speak for me. I didn't really actually speak until a year before kindergarten, like on my own kindergarten. You know, I don't know. It might be anxiety issues. Who knows? It's really busting me out of my shell though, which, you know, I love it. Actually being able to, you know, stand in front of a camera and on live television with an entire city watching. It feels good to stand up there confidently and, you know, be able to tell yourself, hey, I can actually do this after, you know, suffering through some social anxiety stuff, but yeah, we don't need to get into that.
And the funny thing about all of that too, it made me just put in back in my head, I don't want to like actually actively seek it out from myself, but I am not ruling out going in front of the camera. If someone ever needed, like if someone was in a bind, I'd be more than willing to help out that way. I'm not in any ways afraid of doing that. So that put that in my mind for myself.
And it's specifically good for you too, because I feel like everyone that's behind the camera, whether you're in a control room or you're operating a camera, I feel like every member of production needs to have that experience of being in front of a camera, so they know what it's like. You know what I mean? It's good for, you know, people running teleprompter to know what it's like to be in the talent's shoes when you're actually doing it. because I feel like you can pick up like a better perspective of, hey, this person's probably going through this. I need to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So with all that saying, talk about some good. I like to ask all this, especially after the last 2 years, what I've been seeing. What are you grateful for?
Oh man, that's a lot of things, man. That's a lot of things, from family to opportunities, experiences. I have a great support system with friends and family, and that's probably what I'm most grateful for. The support system I have around me, no matter what, through thick and thin, like I know that they're going to be there. Um, that's just what I'm grateful for. When things get down, I can have people to talk to.
Yep, nice to have the support system. Give just a little nugget of advice for that senior in college looking for the job that they're going out, want to be in media. They may want to work the sidelines of a sports game behind the camera for Fox TV, ESPN one day.
Yeah, actually I'll give some advice to the freshmen that are entering college. Be active, get involved early. If you're a senior that hasn't really done anything extracurricular, for example, working with athletics, or writing some articles, being part of that college campus newspaper staff, you need to be involved, because you need that resume experience. Employers in this industry, the media industry, I can speak that they really don't care about education experience. It's about, what do you have as samples? What do you have on your demo reel? What do you have to show for the work that you've done? Employers, they look, hey, has this guy been active, or has he, been just sitting on the couch, going through the motions with school? So that's my first piece of advice for the freshmen. Now, going to the seniors, this industry will burn you out quickly. It'll burn you out quickly if you're doing things that you don't particularly have a passion for. Like, for example, if you're in sports, but you're working in news, you're going to get burned out quickly. You can even get burned out quickly working in sports, covering back-to-back-to-back games. It gets really tiring. But for the advice I have for that is, keep your head up, keep pushing. It gets better. Take everything one step at a time, and it's a grind, man. It's a grind. You really got to push forward and look past how burnt out, how fatigued you are, and just keep getting better.
Yeah,
you should also want to get better too. Keep getting better. Strive to learn. There we go. Yeah. That's good.
I can attest to one thing about, especially the freshmen. If you're afraid to do it, I was sitting there watching behind the shoulders, and I was kind of involved, but not kind of. If you're afraid to do that, to just get involved, jump in, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't at first. It just took me maybe a year and a half, but I finally did. But
yeah, you really got to take that leap sometimes,
That was great so far. What is harder, getting started or keeping it going, you think? Whatever.
See, that one's a tricky one. That one's a tricky one for this industry, because
I know I get answers both ways.
Getting started, you have to really find what you like, but like I said, you have to strive to keep learning. The the first couple of your articles you write, they're not going to be great. They're not, and you're going to feel down about yourself. And that part's hard. Is you just have to realize, hey, I'm doing this wrong. I need to start rewording things. I'm speaking from a print standpoint here. Um, you really need to really work on your craft is the thing, because sometimes I look back and I look at some articles I wrote freshman year to articles I wrote senior year, and I'm like, wow, like I've seen the drastic change of how I approach things, and the technique and the flow and just the voice in articles. But I mean, even from like a TV standpoint, working on your delivery when you do your first stand up, when you do your first show, it's not going to be perfect. It's not. So getting started is hard, and then like I mentioned in the last question, getting burned out, pushing through, that's also hard. If I put the two side by side, I would say um, pushing through would probably be harder. Definitely harder. Because it's like getting a new video game. You get a new video game, you develop a new passion. You're gonna want to constantly keep playing it, constantly keep working at it. Whereas you're still playing a game that you got years ago, but all your other friends play it, and they want you to play with them. It's harder to do it. That's just how I see it. That's the example I use.
The what I've been telling myself about that, if you keep learning from it, then you should keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Don't just be, oh, you don't know it. Like, if you don't know it, then that should be the answer. To challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Go learn something. Go expand your horizons.
I agree. People should always strive to learn. That's one of the things that it's actually one of the things that Dan Rather told me in my internship in New York with him. I sat down. We kind of had like this exit conversation in his office. He looked at me dead in the eyes. Just imagine Dan Rather looking at you dead in the eyes. And he said, Ryan, from what I've seen these past 8-9 weeks, you have it. He said, you have it. I've seen it. I see it in you. But there's one thing that you need to work on, and it's, striving to learn. We, through that entire 8-week, 9-week internship, one of the big things that we focused on were learning about like literary figures. Like, man, ooh, what were some of them? Oh, Thames, was that one of them? Anyways, like literary figures. Um, Herodes, stuff along those lines. I really need to go back and look at those. But no, he looked at me. He said, "You have it. You just need to strive to learn, as everyone should. Um, Pick up new skills, new passions, stuff along those lines."
Like the Greek mythology.
Greek mythology, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Zeus or
Yep.
the Odyssey.
Yep. We talked about the Odyssey a lot.
Yep. Although they were boring at the time when I was learning and back in school, but
Yeah, like English high school. I was like, ugh.
At the same time. Now I wish I had more of an interest, because in college I took a Shakespeare, and I ended up, that was one of my favorite classes, Shakespeare. Do you have any that you developed now, or maybe for a while now? Do you have any rituals or habits or routines that you do before a show? Or
Let me think about this one.
maybe it's simply just like those warm up techniques you see. Like sometimes they'll show actors doing like the lip
Oh
warm up
yeah,
technique, or maybe it just involves that.
no, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So normally how our shows work is I come on the news desk, the big news desk for tease 4, which is the sports tease. And then after that tease, I go to the sports desk, which is right next to the big like news desk. While we're on break, I think it's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So I'm sitting there, and they're fixing the teleprompter, getting it the right height and being able to make sure I can see it. I take a couple deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. I just feel like that helps with my delivery and how I project. It also helps with like my personality, my voice, and stuff like that. So it's just like a. And then when they do standby, they stand by before they cue me to start talking, and then now sports with Ryan Reynolds. All that comes on. I take one more deep breath, but I don't exhale, and then I start, like with that deep breath.
Cool.
I'm glad you brought that up. As I choke on tea over here. Oh. We do have someone at the station on the KSAN side that like her ritual is no matter what, when she does a show, when she anchors a show, she wears Crocs. Yeah. It just makes her feel more comfortable.
I guess it's awesome. If the lower part is always behind the desk. What blew me away when I first came into the network I'm at, only half of our anchors are dressed nice. They're like the bottom half. They're in shorts, sandals sometimes, or maybe not sandals, but definitely show legs or skin. But if it's under the desk,
oh yeah. Get this. When
the top half of your is dressed nicely.
When I went to CNN and I met Anderson Cooper and I watched his show, also during the Dan Rather internship, he had, his typical, nice attire. He had his coat, he had his dress shirt, his tie. But what you couldn't see was under, he was just wearing shorts and some Nikes. We're talking about Anderson Cooper.
Just sometimes the stuff you see when you're when you're just behind the scenes there.
Yeah. I thought that was really funny.
So the connection, how many connections you made? Where was it in college? Was it your New York experience that led to where you're at now? Your connections.
It's actually a really funny. It's a funny question. So I mean, like, yeah, I made friends, connections in college. I still talk to some people I met in New York. But the one tool that got me to where I am now, and it uses the term connections, it's the platform of LinkedIn. If you know how to utilize that properly, you can really get your name and your stuff out there. Matt Locke, who is the sports director now, my boss, I was sitting at a Buffalo Wild Wings one day, just one random December day. I think it was like December 11th, December 12th. I know the exact day. I think it was December 12th. He messaged me on LinkedIn. I've never heard of this guy, never met this guy. And he was like, hey, man, we have this opening here in San Angelo. It's a weekend sports anchor, sports reporter position. Saw your reel, really liked it. The job will be posted in a couple days. Let me know if you're interested. And that's just how I ended up in San Angelo from Huntsville. So basically, yes, I was definitely interested, especially with me just graduating. A couple days later, no, a couple days before. so yeah, I messaged him back. I was like, yeah, dude, definitely interested. Let me know when that job's posted. Job posted. I applied, talked with the news director the same day. Um, had a couple more interviews after that with KLST, and they decided to give me the offer, and here I am. So that's just it's a random 1 month. 1 month later, I guess after that message of me sitting in a random Buffalo Wild Wings, getting this random LinkedIn message. 1 month later, I'm anchoring sports shows in San Angelo. It's weird how things I guess fall into place like dominoes. Um, I never thought after graduation I'd be in San Angelo, but I love it here. You asked me what I was grateful for, and I said my support system. I also said the opportunities. I think I've worked really hard, and it's just great to see it actually pay off.
Yeah, and I remember remember maybe not the exact day, but I remember the feeling, the moment getting this email. I was It was a fellow classmate who was also working at the time with Fox who helped me get in as well. They put my name out there to the bosses who ended up becoming my bosses a little later on in 2010. And I remember sitting on campus of U of H in the little break center. I was taking a few classes, and I was I ended up having to also that after that I I started with Fox through the internship. That's how I initially got in. But the connection came through a classmate who was already working there. Like, oh, we have this internship. At the time, it's not paid. Now Fox interns are paid. For 3 months of my time at Fox, I was working for free.
Hey, man,
But
get that
that's some of the
experience. It's the
best.
grind, man.
But that, and I'll never forget. I was sitting waiting. I was in middle. I was only taking uh, my foreign language, my Italian classes at U of H because I wanted Italian. I started Italian on my stuff that transferred over to Sam, and Sam didn't have Italian, so U of H did. Finished out my Italian classes at U of H, and I was in between classes. I saw this email from one of the bosses, and we really like you. We'd like you for the internship at Fox.
Oh, here we go.
Kind of went, and now I'm working. Before I was starting out working for like 15 markets across, local, national, but like it was like for the local regions. Now I'm in one region with like 5 markets.
Heck yeah, dude.
I had a good transition that see if I can remember this. So with all that, we're just talking about what were these really? These were stories. We're just sharing some stories, and that's what I feel. And I'll ask you a little later on about a lot of like what is important with film, but storytelling. It's how we all connect. How we
Communicate.
bond, communicate. And moving, I'd like to switch into the topic of news, documentaries being film, and I, for the longest time, believe that especially if you look back in the past and go into the times of the Nickelodeon in 50s, where you go to see these reels for like 5 cents, hence Nickelodeon. A lot of people don't remember this. Right now, movies are what, $12, $13 to get in.
Yeah, it's
Not
ridiculous.
actually newsreels, but when you went to go see the reels, it was you're going to watch the news pretty much. And so that's always been my connection with news and TV and film. So like what we were talking about before we got up and going here, there's big importance with the creation of these documentaries, and that's can't stress it enough how story creation or trying to think of something else, not created or let's see. But I'm just trying to like transition into all that documentary stuff, but it was a little ears in my head a minute ago.
It'll come back.
So let's just talk about some key documentaries that helped tell the stories of like what, and maybe one or two of your best, or not best, but not that always stood out to you, like a couple documentaries that stand out to you.
Oh man. Wow. You're gonna hit me with this one. I'm a big fan, me being the sports guy that I am, of the ESPN 30 for 30s. You've seen some of them, right?
I have, yeah.
Let me look through the list here because there's a lot of them. Let's see. 30 for 30 Wikipedia. Let's hop on this. List of 30 for 30 films. The U. The U's were a good one. Documenting those really gritty University of Miami football teams. The two Escobars were really great. That's the soccer players. 4 Days in October was a really good one with the comeback of the Red Sox against the Yankees in the 2004 ALCS. Probably my favorite one though, Fab Five was really good. The Christian Laettner one, I hate Christian Laettner one, was good, but probably my favorite was Fantastic Lies. Do you remember that one? Have you seen that one? It's about the Duke lacrosse team. The whole scandal thing that they were. Yeah, it's 30 for 30 Fantastic Lies. It's a documentary that pretty much goes over the Duke lacrosse team and, like a couple of parties that they threw. And it was like this big scandal. I'm not going to spoil anything, but It's pretty crazy. It's definitely a must watch if you're a 30 for 30 fan.
So as I'm looking at here, going through a list of, I actually remember that one, The House of Steinbrenner. I haven't seen a lot of these. But I
They're
was
good, dude.
here.
It's a good series to binge if you ever have time or if you can find them. I don't know if they have them anywhere. Might be on the ESPN app. I don't know. All of them are just amazing from a production standpoint, a storytelling standpoint. That's pretty much what captures me are the stories. They're really interesting stories. It's not like they go out and try and force something, you know. Their execution's spot on. I need to watch the Dion one, the one that just came out about Deion Sanders. I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh yeah.
I think that's their newest one.
Oh, there's just what about the 1980 the hockey miracle, the miracle
Miracle on Ice
versus Russia. I remember. I can think of that. I like hockey as well, so those will always stand out to me. So sports documentaries, especially for the big sports fan, ESPN 30 for 30.
Mm-hmm.
If that is, I never thought of that, but me being, I want to actually create a documentary one day, but after working in sports, and I never thought of, and I don't know why I never thought of it. Just until now, it never dawned on me. Sports documentaries.
Oh, there we go. We talked earlier about challenging yourself and taking that leap. I think that would be a good challenge for you.
Whoa, look at that. Getting challenged on my own show.
No, I mean 30 for 30s, they're a staple in the sports documentary world. If you want to talk about HBO's Hard Knocks as a documentary as well, some of those seasons are snoozers. I really like the Texans one. That one won a lot of, what was it, Emmys, right? That one won a lot of Emmys. This past year, the Cleveland Browns one, that one was really great with the whole Baker Mayfield situation and just the couple of on the bubble people that they spotlighted. I think they did a really good job with that one. If I can recall the Bengals one. Bengals? Was it the Bengals? Bengals, Ravens. Might have been the Ravens. The Ravens one was really good too. One of the first ones too, I think. I'll have to look into that.
All right. So, all right. So, and that's another one of the great things of working in sports too. Like the fans see it when they watch those documentaries, but it's the unpredictability. You don't know what's going to happen. Now, when you go into these documentaries, you can kind of know where it kind of goes, because you always know it's going to end a certain way. And some movies and some they totally put that spin off and they put the surprise back into it. But you know which way it's going to end up. Like, oh, the movie's not over yet. It didn't do this yet.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's a documentary. Unless you're completely oblivious to what happened, the outcome, the ending, how everything is going to be resolved. But to add on that, actually, going back to Hard Knocks with the Cleveland Browns, it's not about knowing the outcome. It's about the stories told between point A and point B. It's the middle filling. You can say the middle part of that Oreo. It's that's what gets that's what gets users or viewers. That's what gets viewers, especially like me. Yes. For example, going back to Hard Knocks of the Cleveland Browns, we all know Kevin. I think his name's Kevin Kajus. Devin Kajus. He was a tight end for the Browns. We all knew that he got cut. What we didn't know were the stories that they told about him and his dad, and how close their relationship was. I think they told a story about his dad having, what was it, 4 or 5 strokes. Yeah, man, it was pretty deep. It was a tearjerker. But it's about those stories told between point A and point B. Yes, we know Kajus gets cut from the Browns at the end of the 4th game, at the end of the preseason, didn't make the active 52-man roster. But it's about the storytelling and the stories of athletes off the field than on the field. You know what I mean? Those are the ones that capture my attention the most.
And actually, this has been done for a while now too. They kind of take that same theory of all the, maybe not stories, but just communication, definitely from one player to the next, and we call them mic'd ups.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're wired for sound. You have a player has a wire on them, and they just tune into him during the game, and you get to hear what the player's saying as he's playing and as he's communicating on defense.
It brings viewers one step closer to actually being on the field. And actually, like the AAF is actually doing some great things with that, with the replays and being able to hear the officials communicate with each other,
Mm-hmm.
like when they go into an instant replay. I think the AAF, they have the audio wired so you can hear the communication between the coach and the quarterback. I think that's really cool too. That it provides a unique perspective on things, you know.
It's like it's one more thing to let the average viewer in on, and because a lot of things you can't see a lot of things unfold just on a smaller screen. Yeah, I haven't seen this player out. What's happening there? Or it just give you some kind of insight, not a whole lot, because there's obviously so much more to the stories, but it just piece by little pieces like that. They're just releasing and live. It's not. It's like almost like a live documentary game. They definitely use that for documentaries for sure, but so let's switch a little bit about some other documentaries that maybe outside the sports world that hit home or hit your heart a little bit, or
I don't know ones about the or like hitting home for me, but one's outside the sports world I thought was interesting. Ted Bundy tapes, just being able to actually hear audio recordings from Ted Bundy himself during that whole sit down. It's said that they have over 300 hours of actual recordings. I'm pretty sure I hope there's more. On Netflix, there's only 4 parts. But I mean, if they have over 300 hours, man, they can pump out some more parts to that. No, I just thought it was really interesting. The whole Ted Bundy story. We've seen it time and time again, redone in different documentaries. I do think the Netflix one was a really insightful one, mainly because of those audio recordings, dude. They provide like we were talking about unique perspectives. They provided another perspective to the Ted Bundy story that we've heard time and time again.
And I saw the ABC release of that. Maybe just I think ABC did a whole more than
there's a lot of them out there,
definitely. But and what I saw from that, it clued everyone in on just the type of person that he actually was.
And then you have the Zac Efron Ted Bundy movie that's coming out soon. You've heard of that, right? What's it called? Let me look it up.
I have not. That's
there. Zac Efron plays Ted Bundy, and it's called. Let's see.
That should be an interesting role for him.
See, it's going to Netflix for $9 million. It's called Extremely Wicked. Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, starring Zac Efron. Netflix is getting it for $9 million. I mean, I'm super excited for it.
He better watch and take care of himself because it may end up being like one of the Dark Knight.
Oh man,
with Heath Ledger
and the Joker. Whew. No, I think he'll play it well.
I mean, Heath Ledger played that well, but everyone seems to think that I don't want to like talk too much, like because we don't really know, but he's not here soon. He couldn't even see that film finish.
Oh no, I've heard some weird Joker Heath Ledger stories, dude. Like him sending members of production. What was it? I don't know if it was bugs. It was either bugs, threatening letters, or rabbits, decapitated rabbit heads. It was one of the three. And you see that they range from different spectrums of crazy. But no, Heath Ledger definitely immersed himself in that role. It was good.
And one, I know you haven't seen his one, but it was done. It was actually helped sponsored by the Texas Film Commission. It was a 8-part miniseries that National Geographic did, and one of the actors I had on as a guest here on this show last year, Joey Luthman, he played. I can't believe I didn't look that name of that military guy up. I'll get it here in a minute, but it's called The Long Road Home, and it's about an event on a Fort Hood based platoon. I don't know. I can't say if it's either military or army, but it's Fort Hood based platoon. I think army. Who got ambushed back on April 4th, 2004. And it takes the viewer through the life of the families who is going through that, the unknown, the uncertainty of what's happening. Like you get this, without giving too much away from it. The captain's promising, "Oh, we're coming back, but yet he unsure as well." By the way, Mike Kelly if you ever watch House of Cards, he plays kind of the opposite character he plays in House of Cards.
Okay.
It's a good guy, Mike Kelly. He does a fantastic job in that too. After hearing stories from my dad telling me stuff of what he's seen when he was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then watching this miniseries is confirming what my dad told me. And it's some scary, we were talking about weird with the Heath Ledger stuff. It's not just weird. This is just really disturbing stuff, and it all confirmed what I heard from my dad too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did a really good job in National Geographic with this.
I'll have to check it out sometime.
See, going back to a question here. Maybe now is a little different, but I know we all change from that. But who has, you think, the most influence on your work?
My work. No one really. I'm not going to say no one has influenced my work, but I do a lot of studying. Like even if I'm watching SportsCenter, I do a lot of studying of how, the talent on their delivery, their approach, how they word things. And I try and incorporate some of the stuff that I pick up from, watching SportsCenter, watching, Fox Sports. I try and incorporate some of the things that I pick up and try and put it and incorporate it into my own work. No one really sticks out to me when I'm thinking about like physical influence, like anyone I've had close relationships with or anything like that. But if I'm watching SportsCenter, just know that I'm watching it for the highlights. Yes, I'm also watching it to kind of pick up some talent, skills, characteristics, traits, stuff like that. I'm just saying, just watching a ton of hours. That's pretty much all I watched when I was little was PTI, Around the Horn, SportsCenter. Studying and picking up those skills. How do they do this? How do they word this? Mike Breen was a big one when I called some basketball games for Sam Houston. Bang,
So you're a student of the game.
Student of the game, constantly learning, man. We've been talking about it this whole entire episode.
By the way, I looked it up as you're talking about your influences and your learning. Jonathan Rydell, PSC Jonathan Rydell is the actual guy who won. It's not who it's based on, but that's who the person I interviewed. That's who he played.
Gotcha.
Just for some trivial insight there.
As far as so I mean that's just how I've gone about learning. The ESPN talent personalities on those shows, Fox Sports, same as ESPN. Just kind of studying them, how they deliver things. If I was to break it down to more narrow question, who's just kind of inspired me in general, it would definitely be my dad. Watching his work ethic and, just the type of person he is. He's shown me, what a man should be, how a man should act, how a man should carry himself. And, I strive to be someone like him. And he's really played a huge role in my life. And, I can't thank him enough for the love and support that he's given me throughout the years, and I love him, man.
Going to wrap up. I don't want to take all your day up.
Oh man, we can go for hours, dude. This episode was a long time coming.
We can definitely talk. Have you on multiple times too. So, as much as I'm struggling to find the right topics, we're finding stuff.
Hey man, we're just having a conversation. We're having a conversation. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying it. Talking about some good things.
Here's a question I meant to ask the other person earlier today, and I'll probably ask him next time I have him on. What is one question you wish people would ask you that don't ask you?
Oh, that's a really good one.
As you think, I'm gonna let my dog in.
Okay. One question I wish someone would ask me. Man, that's a really tough one. A lot of people don't really know. A lot of people I talk to don't really know about my anxiety issues. So I guess one question I wish someone would ask me, especially if that person's dealing with the same thing, would be to, ask me how I cope with things. Because I mean, if someone's dealing with the same thing, of course, I want to pass along some knowledge and some advice for that person. And if they did ask me, I would probably just tell them, hey, it gets better. It gets better. Like I said, I've busted out my shell. Things have been a lot better, but in those early years, it was tough. I would say it gets better, and sometimes you just got to go with it, man. You just got to hold your breath and run with it. That would be my advice for them, and as well as a question I wish someone would ask me.
Since I started working for Fox, it hadn't been ideal, and I don't think to some extent it will never be ideal, but I think that's kind of the point. Is if let's see. The way it has been going for me, especially in these last 3 years, and it's been more working the uncertain, not knowing, being uncomfortable, and the minute you get comfortable, that can be like a scary thing, like for not for you. You're going to be comfortable, but that's when you're not going to be tendency to learn,
Mhm.
be comfortable. You're going to be wanting to stay where you're at. But for me, working in the unknown has gotten me the most of what I've gotten by far, and whatever I needed has come my way.
Mhm.
Just enough that I needed, like maybe not more, not less. Just what I've needed has come to me without even seeking it, asking it. It's in the
Yeah.
last 3 years. It's that natural flow.
Natural flow, the dominoes falling into place, and
Yeah.
for the most part, that's all we can ask for sometimes.
And I know I see myself in a bigger picture somewhere, but that could be 10 years down the line. You may be seeing it now and you want it now, but it could be a 10-year thing that what you're doing now will lead to there at some point.
I agree. Like I would love to be at ESPN or Fox Sports one day, but being here in San Angelo at KLST, that's building block number one.
And you're there for a reason. They need you there. You need to be there for reasons that you may or may not know yet. And
we'll see.
when you figure it out, that probably means it's time to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, especially like just with my mindset, my personality, my work ethic, how I go about it is I'm not thinking of where will this lead me in 10 years. Right now, my mindset is what can I do to help this station? That's where I'm at right now. Better. What can I do to help this station? What can I do to better myself as well? Just throw that in there.
And help me help.
Yep.
Help the world.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's exactly what it is.
Help me. I don't know if you ever watch. I keep referring a lot of this stuff, like just keep Mr. Feeney, Boy Meets World. Have you ever heard of that show?
I have heard it. Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is still true, and it's living life and it's learning. He was a teacher, and a lot of things. I can't just say one thing, but a lot of. I think every episode, and it's just about learning in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Feeney's the teacher. One thing he said, I know, help yourself. I'm butchering this a little bit, but learn. Oh, it wasn't even him that was saying that. I just remembered, but it's about friends and losing friends.
Gotcha.
Lose one friend, lose all friends, lose yourself. And that was actually the brother that was saying that in a weird kind of way. But I constantly find myself going back to clips of that show.
It's a good show.
So, wrap up for now, and I'd like to just come on, and I like this is more of a free flowing conversation actually.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of thinking, but where do you like social media thing these days? Where do you like the best on social media?
Oh man, Facebook and Twitter for sure.
Where should someone say hey to you?
They can say hey to me in an easier way on Twitter. I like to communicate through Facebook too. If you guys do want to follow me on Twitter, you can go ahead and give me a follow at RPR Talks. You can find me on Facebook at Ryan KLST. Go ahead and give that page a like, and give me a holler, man. If you want to have a conversation, just give me a shout, and we can have a nice conversation, whether it be about sports, life, movies, video games. I'm a huge gamer. I didn't even tap into that side of me. on this episode. Maybe next time. Um, yeah, man, I would say I'm a pretty down to earth guy. If you need someone to talk to, you can reach out to me. If you want my sports opinion on something, give me a shout, man. I'm always on Twitter and Facebook.
Are you ready to think a little more?
Oh, geez, yes.
Where is see if I can remember. I should remember these, but what is, aside from Dan Rather, who is one person that you would want to learn from that has seen success multiple times?
Do I have to know the person, or am I just picking?
Anyone that you could just choose to meet one day that you would want to meet and learn from. You can know him. You don't have to know him.
Actually, no. I actually met him at a Freebirds one time. Jeff Van Gundy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's
would like to meet him.
A great guy. Full of personality. He's one of my favorite basketball commentators. He's just really knowledgeable about the game, how the game works, how front offices work. You know, he's been in those shoes before. Just to be able to pick his brain about a couple things. You know, he's even worked with the Olympic basketball team. Just being able to pick his brain, maybe shadow him for a couple weeks. I think that would be really cool. Jeff Van Gundy, Houston owned too. Houston's own Jeff.
I'm sitting. I was just talking to my cousin last night, like watching the Rockets Warriors game.
Oh man, don't get me started on that.
I was like, well, and here's something we could also talk about too, but women in broadcasting, not just on the sideline, or we've seen them on behind the anchor desk for a while now, but women commentators, women play-by-play,
Yep,
women color.
we had our first what was it, start of the football season last year. We had our first all women broadcast, which I thought was amazing. I mean, not even in like the broadcast booth. We see what is her name, Becky Hammond, what she's doing with the Spurs. Becky, let me look it up real quick. Got a fact check. Let's see here. Yep, Becky Hammond, basketball coach for the Spurs.
Oh yeah, coach, and then someone who I guess you can say my coworker, Nancy Lieberman, assistant coach.
Mm-hmm.
She worked for the Kings, and she does behind the desk on our broadcast for the Pelicans, New Orleans Pelicans on Fox Sports New Orleans.
We just had a International Women's Day. Definitely breaking some barriers, especially in the sports world, man. It's really exciting to see. It's fun to watch, and years from now, and we have female officials now too, which I think is amazing. Just being able to see how far us as a society have come, as well as how far these sports industries and the sports world has come. It's fun to watch.
That all spurred from Jeff Van Gundy. Where I wanted to go from this was I was telling him that, man, I wish Jeff Van Gundy was on right now, because he usually does the ABC telecasts.
Mm-hmm. No, he's really, really fun to listen to.
Especially because I know, having been a Rockets head coach, and I loved the Rockets under him back in the T-Mac days.
Yep, T-Mac, yeah. Some good times.
All right, so here's a film question.
Hold on, before we get into this one, I'm on 2%. Let me run and get my charger real quick.
All right.
All right. Oh, 1%. Look at us. Just beat the buzzer.
Fox Sports, the one for buzzer beaters. That listening to the marketing plan, I was in on that kind of in a way. Seeing all the marketing slogans they're setting up for being that was another being a part of a whole cable network launch of seeing FS1 launch and being that was crazy to see all that how that all came to be.
Especially, that's a unique experience too.
And and I kind of helped build before it was Fox Sports Go and now it's called Fox Sports App. I helped build that all.
Heck yeah.
Part of the team. I didn't do it single-handedly, but
Oh yeah, of course. Still part of it though.
film. Why do you think it is important, especially in today's time?
Well, people, man, give me a very, very broad answer. Oh, look, Golden Tate just agreed to sign with the Giants. Got Odell's replacement there. But why is film huge? Film is huge because one, it can be used as a form of entertainment. Two, it makes you feel things. You know, it spurs emotions. That's probably one of the main reasons why, you know, chick flicks, romantic comedies, one of my favorite movies, like movie types, movie genres. They make me feel, you know, and that's what people want. And in their entertainment is they want to feel things. They want to feel connected. Flipping over to documentaries like we talked about, always striving to learn. You want to learn about Ted Bundy? Hey, look, we have a million Ted Bundy documentaries you can watch. You want to watch about a certain event in the sports world, 30 for 30 probably has a documentary on it. Go ahead and watch it. You can pick up some knowledge from there. It's just you can really use TV, film, documentaries as a tool. You can use it as a learning tool. You can use it as a form of entertainment. It's very, very diverse. There's a lot of uses. But again, my main thing, it makes you feel. People want to feel things. And movies, they spur those emotions out of people. If done correctly. There's some of them that we've all watched bad films, but there's some good ones that really make people feel, and you know that's one of the main reasons why I like to watch them.
Here's a question that may be a little more narrow that I may use this question from now on. I like to end on 3 questions, but this may end up being a question to replace the broader one now. What makes a TV, film, movie, story, what makes it great? What makes
it great? As a whole? Or what makes it great, kind of like in my opinion?
3 contributing factors to making a story great.
3 contributing factors is 1, you have to lay a foundation so people can connect with your film. Because with no connection, you're pretty much leaving your viewers, your watchers, just kind of left in the dust. You know, people like to feel things. If that connection is established early on, especially in a film early on, then your film will most likely be great. You'll spur some emotions out of people. They'll think positively of it. So 1, laying a foundation. 2, being able to draw emotions out of people with those connections. And then 3, don't follow. Okay, I'm going to go on a little rant here. Don't follow the traditional the traditional film story structure. Because I've seen a lot of films that follow the same structure, that something happens. So you have the conflict, right? You know the little arc we did in school.
Climax.
Yep. All that stuff in the resolution after. A lot of stories follow that. And yes, I know it's a proper way to tell a story, but there's other ways to go about it where you have twists and turns. We see it in a lot of
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio movies. Things that you don't expect. Jake Gyllenhaal, they're great. This is why Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors. You have the twists and turns that, yes, they still follow that same structure, but it disguises that structure. You know what I mean? So you're not just falling into that same rut. Oh, well, you know what? They got into a big fight. Something's gonna happen. They're gonna come back together. It's gonna be a happy ending. Don't be predictable. There we go. That's the word. Don't be predictable. Have some twists and turns in there, and disguise that little story structure arc thing that I can't remember for some reason. Um, no, but those are the three things: foundation, build a nice foundation, build some connections, spur emotions out of people, and have some good plot twists.
Hierarchy of a story or something.
Something like that, man. those are my three things that make a film great.
All right, what do you have? Just asking is, what do you have out there that you would like people to see more? Like something that you just created or something divert their attention to. Something
Well, I
I
mean,
can promote for you.
well, like I said, you can give me a follow on Twitter at RPR Talks if you want to have a conversation. Feel free to slide into my inboxes, give me a mention, give me a shout. Like me on Facebook at Ryan KLST. I pretty much post everything I do at work there. Our little clip system, has been down, so I haven't really posted as much. But I think it's going to be back up here tomorrow. Tomorrow is today is March 14th, so tomorrow March 15th. I don't know when this episode's going live, but yeah, just give me a follow. Give me a shout. I'm actually thinking about starting up a new podcast here soon with a coworker or two. If you want, all the details and follow along with that, go ahead and like me on Facebook. I'll probably post updates. But other than that, I mean, if you want to play video games, you can add me on Xbox, not the actor. Really simple.
I'm getting that from a few of my buddies who have been podcast buddies as well. I thought just like, ask him about Deadpool.
Oh no, I get it all the time, man. It's something that I've lived with. Man. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Appreciate it.
Did you know about this guy before you gave me the name?
At least my middle name isn't Rodney, which is, the real better looking Ryan Reynolds middle name. No, but yeah, stay connected with me. I want to get to know each and every one of you guys that listen to this show, and give me a follow, give me a like, give me a shout.
Do you know any information on that podcast or not much?
Right now, it's all verbal. We're thinking it's going to be a lifestyle podcast, actually. So it'll be about pretty much everything. What's going on in our industry. Some video game stuff, some sports stuff, some life stuff, some funny stories. It's pretty much how it came to be. Is so the person that will probably be like alongside me on the podcast. He's our executive producer. We just want something we can like come home from work to and just kind of relax, be ourselves, open up a bit. You know what I mean? And I think having the podcast right now, I think we're set on the name being Anything Goes. Because I mean, hey, it's just an open mic. We're just having a conversation, But yeah, Anything Goes. I think that's the name we've settled on. If you want some updates on that, everything is in the works. Go ahead and like me on Facebook at Ryan KLST.
All right, just look out for more of that. And final question of the day. Next time I about gaming and all, like games I recently like to play are like sports games, but
Mhm.
I like the GoldenEye Nintendo days and
Oh yeah, we can
those
definitely
first
dive
person
into
shooter.
those. We can definitely dive into good old 007 Nightfire and 007
My
GoldenEye and
my sister, the cheater, always grabbing going in the one. She learned the map by memory and go and grab what is the RPG and just going on a killing spree.
yep.
Cheater.
I was really big on the Halo games too.
Oh, the Halo too.
Yeah, love those.
So this question has been evolving into started out it inspired by podcaster that I was influenced to start, Lewis Howes, School of Greatness podcast. He asked three final questions at the end of this is the last one he usually asks is three truths. And I try to adapt that into more of a movie question. And I like this one. I like the story I just asked you, the question I just asked you about what do you could three things that make a movie great. I like that question. I think I'm gonna keep using that.
That's a good one.
But if I could go back and listen to it, I'm looking for a way to rephrase this, and I found it. And I forgot, but what are three movie roles, and maybe not that you see when you watch movies and you kind of see yourself in?
Oh, see myself in.
Like as not maybe the actor but the actual character that you can relate to a character in a
Oh
movie.
man. Wow. Have you seen Perks of Being a Wallflower?
I've heard of it.
I can relate to the main character in that movie. Um, what other ones? Perks of Being a Wallflower is the one that sticks out to me the most. Maybe Friday Night Lights.
You have another one?
Let me see. I'm kind of looking up some things right now. Mm-mm-mm. Hmm. I wish I knew what. Oh man, the Endgame official trailer came out.
I think I've been seeing that for what, a year or two in Endgame. It's seeing may not be the one I'm thinking of.
No, I'll say Perks of Being a Wallflower, Friday Night Lights, and why not? Everyone wants me to say it. Deadpool. I can see it. I can see it. You know the name. It's fitting. Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. Look at me. Haha. Oh, definitely not Green Lantern. No, that's not on my list. Deadpool is not Green Lantern. I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh man, that movie is so bad.
Yeah, just so I stuff that I liked, I've been liking recently, and I see myself in their TV shows, kind of a TV movie as well. James Roday, Psych. I see myself a lot in that main character.
Mm-hmm.
Suits before when the main characters left the show. Patrick J. Adams and the new show on ABC, The Good Doctor. Dr. Sean
I think I've seen a
Murphy.
couple episodes of that.
I see a lot of myself. I tend to like movies or TV shows that are about a character with something that's weird or not weird, but coming at you from a different angle
Mm-hmm.
and random, and they have this special trait or quality that helps them help others, and I see myself in a lot of that. Psych, Suits, that's pretty much the concepts of all those shows.
Yeah, good. No, there's one thing that I like when I watch TV shows is the character development, like watching someone go from season 1 to season 9.
Mm-hmm.
Parks and Rec has great character development. One Tree Hill's another show that has really great character development.
The Good Place, looks like the same creators as Parks and Recreation. The Good Place with that same actress. I don't know her name, but Ted Danson, and that seems like it has great character development.
Yeah.
If you ever seen that. But this been fun talking about movies and documentaries and getting to know you a little better.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Have you on next time. Have a little video game thing going.
Yeah, like I said, dude, like this. Oh my, geez, sorry, hold on. There we go. Like I said, this it's been a long time coming, being on here, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Got to open up a little bit, talk about some different things. We talked about sports. We talked about documentaries, films, kind of what I like in films, and just kind of my path to where I am now. And I really enjoyed sitting down and having like a really in depth, not just like a question answer Q&A type of conversation, but actually having like a nice free flowing conversation. Really enjoyed it, man. I appreciate it, man, for sure.
That's what I strive to do here. I have a set list of questions I'd like choose from a pool. I'm learning how to use that as just a little come here to spark a conversation, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting more away from reading question by question.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I mean that's kind of what I did with Chasing the Cup is I had a pool of questions and just kind of sat down. A lot of the athletes were soft spoken, so just kind of ask some warm up questions to get them talking a bit, and then just dive right on in.
So next time, maybe this pretty much starting. I didn't officially announce it as it, but it's technically my volume 3, season 3, whatever you want to call it, of shows. I tend to do this in seasons. I'll go for a time where I don't grab any guests, but I hope I seem to be on a better trajectory with guests all of a sudden right now.
I'm looking forward to some of the ones that you roll out here.
I just uploaded the one I talked to earlier, so I could probably upload this one today too. So I'm getting faster at that, even uploading the same day.
You go for it, bud. I'm excited.
It was fun, and go look out the next. Should I say Dan Rather one day? The next Dan Rather.
Oh man. I I appreciate it, man. Those are some really big and really kind words, man. That's I appreciate it, dude. I had a really good time again. If any of you guys want to connect with me, follow me on Twitter at RPR Talks, like me on Facebook at Ryan KLST, and we can have a conversation. Till next time.
All right.